Now, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be another collecting video for my fellow collectors who are also in what I like to call pre-order purgatory, most likely. I just did the math today. Someone was pointing out to me how many Black Series figures and just figures in general are on pre-order right now, and I have 33 Black Series figures pre-ordered right now.
Oh yeah. All over the place too.
Yeah, all over the place. And I keep a list. I have a nice little document here, a little spreadsheet that tells me when I ordered, where I ordered from, how much it cost, and so on and so forth. Because otherwise, I got to this problem where I didn't do that back when it kind of started to get really bad, maybe a couple of years ago, and I didn't remember if I had figures ordered. I didn't remember how many I had ordered, because sometimes I order multiple, and where I ordered from. It's insanity. It's
kind of sad that you need a spreadsheet to keep track of
toys
orders that you don't have yet.
Yes.
It's a shame. I mean, 33 figures, and that's between GameStops and Walmarts and Targets and all those other places. Amazon, Entertainment Earth,
the fan channel,
the fan channel. It's just ridiculous. I mean, and this is just the Black Series line. I mean, the Vintage Collection and the Retro line, I'm sure you guys are all in the same boat with pre-orders coming up. And why are we getting pre-orders so far out, too? I mean, some of these figures are over a year before we expect to see them.
How long, I mean, it makes you wonder, how long does it take to make a figure? And then, I'd always heard it's about a year from kind of concept and design to, making the tooling, producing it, shipping it. That takes around a year, I believe. So why are some of my pre-orders literally like a year and a half in advance?
Well, not to mention, why can't we just get a pre-order form 6 months out? Why do we have to pre-order them the moment you show them that they're going to exist?
Well,
why can't we pre-order them closer to the actual release date?
I think one of the issues with that is there's this, let's keep content, not content, but, let's keep, the figures, let's keep showing figures, let's keep people excited about the new figures coming, let's keep things flowing so that people know where things are in production, especially in a time where, we have delays in shipping, we have crises for the supply chain. Not to get into all that, but and I do understand that probably plays a part here, certainly, but it almost feels like they just want to keep announcing figures to the point where they've now stretched themselves out, that, they've announced so many figures that we have to eventually catch up to those figures before you keep announcing more.
Right.
We keep getting further and further and further out. Now you're literally announcing figures that are going to be a year and a half away.
Well, and then the sites that you pay for them on, some of them don't let you change your payment option. So let's say my card gets stolen or compromised and I need to replace it because obviously I still need to do business in the real world. Now my pre-order is going to get canceled because I can't change the payment method anymore.
Another problem.
Or you get married and you want to change your name, but you can't change your name because if you do, your card will have to be changed. And then you lose pre-orders.
It's more important to keep your pre-orders than to change your last name after getting married, right?
Absolutely, apparently.
There you go. That's dedication to the hobby.
Oh boy.
But speaking of that, I mean, speaking of all these things, it used to be. I'm someone who's collected on and off. I've had my times where you just don't have the money to get into this hobby, and I scaled way back in my collecting. But as someone who really kind of got back into it in the mid '90s a little bit there, when the new Power of the Force line came out and I started collecting, there really was no internet. I mean, there was internet, but you weren't pre-ordering figures. You weren't buying figures online back then. You were going to the store and you were seeing figures in store. That's how you bought it. Until the last few years, that's how most of my collection was, acquired, was actually going to stores, picking up figures, no pre-ordering, just waiting till it came out. And now I'd never go to a store looking for figures. It's just pointless.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of miss the thrill of the hunt.
It's fun, isn't it? It's fun.
It's kind of fun.
It's it's that dopamine hit when you go in, like, oh, is that figure going to be there, and then it's there.
I think it's better for stores too.
Well,
I mean, if I go in for a store looking for something, if they don't have it, I might be like, well, I can look at this, or I'll look at something else. It's like why they put sales items in the back of a store. Why return counters, customer service counters, used to always be in the back of a store, because you're supposed to walk through and look at everything and possibly buy more before you leave.
Yeah, and maybe they figure that when you're online, it's the same thing, that when you're pre-ordering, you're going to impulsively. But for me, that it doesn't work that way. When I physically see something, that's much more enticing than when I see it online and have no idea what it actually is.
Right. I'm the same way.
I mean, I understand the world has kind of gone to, buying things online. That's just what we do these days. But I miss just going into stores and looking for figures and being some. I mean, way back in the day, I didn't even know what new figures were coming out when that Power of the Force line started. There were very few kind of, websites devoted to collecting, and so a lot of times it was, oh look, this figure is out now. I know about figures 2 years in advance, and I can pre-order them or try to pre-order them. Mm-hmm. Such a strange shift in the hobby.
It is a shame. Honestly.
Well, shame, yeah.
I want to go and look at the stores for stuff, but then I'm disappointed when they don't have it or when they only have figures that were out like a year and a half ago, and now I'm forced into buying them online, which now competes with all of the robo-shoppers and
well, that's the other problem. Scalper, I mean, not that scalpers weren't back then. I mean, as soon as eBay became a thing, scalpers became a thing. That's just how it works, and that's a reality we have to face, and I think it's obviously worse than ever with scalpers and just everything these days.
When it's online like this, it is, because there are websites dedicated to, like, shop for you. The moment it goes online, they will buy the item for you through it, and it's just bizarre.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
They don't have to wait in line. They don't have to go stand at the store. They just sit at home on their computer. Oh, this website's going to buy this for me immediately when it comes out. They don't have to get up. They don't have to refresh the computer. The payment information's there. Boom, boom, robot buys it. Now a collector doesn't get it. I mean, some collectors probably use the robo stuff too, but it's the scalpers in particular that ruin the hobby.
Yeah, they're destroying it. It's just worse than ever. They've been a part of it probably all along, but when the internet and eBay became a thing, that's when just kind of a nuisance.
Oh, and not even all of the websites limit the pre-orders to a reasonable amount. Like, do you need 12 Paz Vizslas? No, but why is the limit 12?
That's a good question, yeah.
It's not an army builder figure. I mean, some figures obviously are, but how many Grogu and Din Djarin covered in mud do you need? 6. 6? No.
Yes, absolutely.
Limit the figures.
Well, they don't care. That's the problem. The problem is no one except for the I'm not saying that they don't care at all. I'm not saying some of the people at Hasbro who design and are passionate about this don't care, but I mean, if we're being honest, like, they don't care as long as it sells, right? As long as someone is buying it, what happens after that is who cares to them? Because otherwise they would, hey, well, this is an army builder. Let's produce more of the. And I'm surprised they don't do that. I don't know.
Army building cases?
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't do army building cases, or when they have case assortments, the army builder should always be
the
double pack, and sometimes it's not, and you scratch your head like, who is making these decisions? Who doesn't realize that there are army builders out there, and it's more likely you're going to sell 2 of these rather than, 2 of those.
Well, they think, they're going to make it to the shelves, and more people will want this figure than that. No. Well, just disperse the product better.
But they don't make them to the shelves. Very rarely do things make it to shelves these days. I mean, I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like in other places across the country, but here, it's the same thing. It's tiny Star Wars sections with the same figures that I've seen for months, if not years, at this point.
And then let's not forget how these items get shipped to you.
Oh, yeah, that's the other fun part. I mean, if you're an inbox collector, it's gambling when you're pre-ordering, because they will...
When we go to the stores, if they have multiple of the same figure, I will look at them.
Yeah, you'll examine which one's the best.
We are open boxers, but I will sit there and look at the paint applications, and I pick out the one that looks the best, because we're going to be looking at it all the time and displaying it. These things, you order them, and you're like, 50-50 chance I might get a damaged box.
Somebody in that Amazon warehouse might put it in a padded envelope, just, crush it in there and send it on its way.
What was it? Didn't we get a figure that it came in a really big box, but there was no padding for it on the inside at all, so it just was flopping around in there?
Yeah, I don't remember
which figure it was, but it was
I think it was Amazon. It was a giant box, and I was confused because what should be in there was, I think it was a vintage collection figure, and I don't know why they put it in like not a giant box, but a big box and no padding, just this one carded figure in there, and the corners are just dented and the bubbles crushed. And
right, because it's been flopped around by the handlers and everything, and it doesn't say fragile on the box or handle with care. It's just here's your stuff.
Yeah.
Good luck.
But yeah, I'm curious how many other collectors out there are in Purgatory with their pre-orders as well. How many do you have on pre-order? Do you even know? Do you keep track, or do you just kind of forget about it and hope they show up? And
oh gosh, and don't move.
Yeah,
don't have to change your address.
We did have that problem. We had to go back to our old address and rescue a figure because they didn't want to update. They pretty much refused to update our address because it was attached to the credit card, and they wouldn't let us change it. So we just had to drive on back to the
we
old place.
We were lucky nobody was moved in yet.
Yeah.
So it was just sitting outside an empty apartment.
Yep, there it was, because they would not change
I felt like
it.
I was a criminal sneaking up to a house and taking a package off it, but it was our package.
It was our package. But yeah,
Horrible.
yeah. Well, anyway, that is all we got for you this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below. Tell us what you think about the pre-ordering situation. Do you like this? Are you someone who misses the old school way of, maybe it's kind of a little more inconvenient to drive to all these different stores and, but maybe that was just a more enjoyable aspect to the hobby that we're missing out on. Whatever the case may be, let us know in the comments below. And until next time, thanks for watching.